There's a Zen Buddhist koan that asks, "What was your original face before your parents were born?" Now, Zen koans are like riddles, but they're not meant to be solved by the mind. They're actually meant to stall the mind long enough so something deeper can come forward, a deeper felt sense of the present moment. And the reason why I'm talking about this today is because this full moon in Cancer feels very similar. Like it's not meant to really be understood, but rather be felt. This full moon in Cancer is bringing up a lot of emotional patterns, old emotional patterns, and they're bumping up against the structures that we've built to survive them. And something's got to give, something's got to change. We'll dive into the astrology, the human design, Sabian symbol, a little bit of tarot, of course, and they're all pointing to this similar theme. What are you building? And what does it mean to you? Where in your life are you looking to build in a way that's different, in a way that's more authentic to who you are now versus the old survival strategies that you've created for yourself? Now, this is a full moon in Cancer that's happening at 13 degrees of Cancer. So if you have anything around 13 degrees Libra, Cancer, Capricorn, or Aries, this will be affecting you a little bit more. But for all of us, 6 months ago, with a new moon in Cancer, June 25th, something new was began in this part of our lives. And now, 6 months later, with this full moon on January 3rd, we're seeing the fruition of that. We're seeing something come into culmination. We're having realizations about this as well, as the moon, the unconscious, is illuminated and recognizing what it is that we need to release in order to move forward. As we look at the astrology of this moon, we'll note something interesting. There's virtually no fire or air in the sky, just water and earth, which is why it feels like there's something very somatic about this new moon, about this full moon. I'll never get that right. It's fine. You guys know what I'm talking about. This full moon is in Cancer, as mentioned, and it's conjunct Jupiter. And you know what's interesting? The new moon that we had in Cancer on June 25th was also conjunct Jupiter. So there's an expansion of emotional truth here. There's prosperity and there's blessings, absolutely, but there's also an expansion of the emotional world. And because this new moon is happening in Gene Key or Human Design Gate 39, the gate of provocation, there could be some emotional arousal around this full moon, but I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing, right? As we'll see when we go into Gene Key 39, the provocation here can be for violence or it can be for creativity and authenticity, and we get a choice in that. Now, Jupiter here is retrograde, so we're still doing some inner work or inner integration around a lot of the healing that we've been doing, emotional healing that we've been doing. And it's squaring off, as well as the full moon, is squaring off with Chiron in Aries. Now, what's interesting, if you notice, Chiron has an S next to it, which means that it's stationing to go direct after months of being retrograde. We're reclaiming agency in some way. We're reclaiming initiation to move forward. This is giving us more forward momentum. Can we do that without sacrificing relationships? Can we do that without sacrificing our emotional world and what we're building, right? Because full moons are oppositions, and boy, is this one an opposition. Look at what we got over here. We've got Sun, which makes it a full moon, of course, but then we've got Mars, exalted here. We've got Venus and Mercury as well here, and Juno and Vesta. So there's a lot of energy in Capricorn, which the calendar turns into the new year, right? We're looking at achievements and goals and what we want to do to succeed. Very Capricornian in nature. And this opposition is saying, in what way is there an imbalance here? Are we thinking too much about what to build and not enough about what meaning that gives us and the emotions behind it? Or are we too stuck in the emotional world that we're not really building anything of value for ourselves or for the world? If we think about Cancer, Cancer is the first water sign in the zodiac. It's very, very emotional. It's very, the emotions are very personal. Cancer is about the home, the past, comfort, right? The moon likes being in Cancer. This is the ruler of Cancer. Roots, emotions, the past, comfort. When I think about a Cancerian room, it's got plushies and fuzzy blankets and stuffed animals, and there's a lot of white. There's a lot of unnecessary things, but it's there for comfort. And when I think about a Capricornian room, I think about like a bed with the amount of sheets necessary, no decorations, no extra fluff, a place to put your clothes. There's an austerity to Capricorn that's not really there in Cancer, right? And which is why they work so well together. They complete each other, right? That's why I always say that we don't have 12 signs, we have 12 or 6 pairs of signs. We don't have 12 houses, we have 6 pairs of houses, because we really need to understand both sides. And full moons are such an amazing time to do that, to feel the pulling in each way. And this is one of the reasons why I believe, full moons, people act a little crazy. Like, number one, yes, the moon is the unconscious and it's being illuminated. So people are acting more unconsciously and emotionally. But also, it's a time of opposition between our clarity and our emotional world. So we're being pulled in different directions, and most of us don't know how to deal with those kind of oppositions in our lives, right? So we tend to act a little wacky. That's why I never say you're not supposed to take action during this during full moons. In fact, this one feels like it's asking for action. I just always recommend that we pause, right? This is something that the South Node in Virgo and the North Node in Pisces, which are sextile and trine this moon, are telling us while they're here, is there is no right or wrong choice. There is only more and more practice with the process. And practicing with the process can look like initiating more agency and will into our decisions. Rather than trying to focus on making the right decision or not, focusing on the process of making decision. Are you abandoning the self when you make a decision? Right? There is no such thing as wrong or right. But when we pause, we create more agency in our lives with the decisions that we're making, with the choices that we're making. So this full moon may be pulling us in 2 different directions, and maybe you'll think about where you are on this scale, because I don't know. Um, what this could look like is we're focused a lot on building, Capricorn, the structures, having the boundaries. Capricorn is very future oriented. It's more detached. It's about achievements and goals, right? Looking to the mountaintop and climbing steadily towards that, and not necessarily worried about the emotional world. So maybe you're building something, or maybe you've built something really amazing, but there's a lack of emotional meaning for you. And so it feels empty what you've built. Or on the other side, maybe you've been so deep in the emotional world that you haven't really built what is meaningful to you. And maybe in some ways, you're realizing both of these things are true. This axis is an axis of support. That's how I see it. Cancer is the mother, and Saturn and Capricorn is the father. So Cancer is the emotional support, caretaking of the other, caretaking of the self, honoring the emotions, whereas Capricorn is the honoring of duty, of obligation. Both of these are important. And when we lose contact with them for too long, we notice an imbalance that's painful. One of the ways that I see this pattern showing up a lot in my work, and in my world, and how it showed up for me in a lot of ways, was I was building, sure, and then I was also spending a lot of time in therapy. I spent a long time in therapy, okay, and I'm a proponent of therapy when it's needed, and I do think that a lot of us get stuck in therapy. I think therapy is a very Cancerian / fourth house thing. And we can stay in therapy forever and ever and ever, and just like revisiting the roots, revisiting the emotions, revisiting the past. And we can almost kind of find comfort there. Whereas Capricorn is like, okay, past happened. And now what are we going to do? Right. And this can become dangerous as well, because sometimes we do need to go back into the past before we go into the future. Right. And also like be in the present. But Capricorn has a really good way of being able to look at the future and say, what do I need to do in the present to get there? So I know, like, I was building a life. There was a lot of Capricorn, but it was empty structures based on old emotional patterns. And that's a lot of what this full moon is bringing up. And then I was spending a lot of time in therapy, constantly trying to heal, trying to fix something, right? Trying to figure out, well, if I just heal a little bit more, then maybe I'll start finally building the new structures. And what ultimately happened was like, oh, yeah, this is actually, this sitting in the emotions too long is actually what's preventing me from actually going out there and doing the freaking thing. I had to have just some courage, right? Like there had to be a sense of fearlessness, or like a knowing there's fear and going with it anyways. And this is so important too, even when we gosh, I could talk about this forever. I was talking about that. I have my Thrive Through 2026 bundle. I was talking about this in the live stream about how like containment is so important for emotional healing. So Capricorn energy, meaning that like, for example, one of the things I do now is I do believe in sitting in your emotions, but instead of saying, okay, I get to sit in this for days and days and days, which is sometimes what would happen, or months or weeks, when a situation would happen to me, remember, got a out of bounds, unaspected moon in Sagittarius. So emotional world historically has been very intense for me. And I could stay in the emotions of something that happened for a really long time. Now, and when we do that, we kind of abandon self-trust in some ways, right? That if we go into an emotion, we're not going to come out of it for weeks or months. That signals to the body then it's not safe to go in the emotions, and then maybe we become avoidant of the emotional world because we're terrified of that happening again. And what containment does, Saturn creates structures and boundaries. So now if I'm going through something, I give myself a time limit. I'm going to sit in this for this long. And you think from some perspective, like, oh, that's cruel, or oh, that's cold. But you know what? That tells my nervous system. And when I actually do it, right? If I actually listen and build that self trust, that tells my nervous system, oh, when I feel my emotions, I don't have to get lost in them forever. When I feel my emotions, they don't keep me from achieving my goals. Because then subconsciously we create something that, like, oh, well, then I don't want to feel my emotions because I'm going to get stuck here. Right? So I guess I love talking about this stuff, right? Like it's so intriguing. And I'm doing this immersion, the Inner Revolution immersion, January 17th. Waitlist is open right now if you want to sign up. We're going to do some somatic integration. We're going to do a lot of somatic integration. It's 5 weeks. Every week we're going to do somatic integration, because that is where we bridge the gap of what we know intellectually and bring it into our lived experience. So we're going to do human design and astrology, certain parts of the chart. More information on the waitlist sign up form if you want to look into that. But this is going to be a huge part of this. Like, how do we sit in what's the emotions that are there, but have containment around that? This full moon wants us to build from a place of meaning that is created authentically, as from the place of where you are now versus who you've been in the past. Having the courage to seek support. Often this can come up. Maybe we need some support in doing this. Maybe we need to work with someone who can help us do this. Maybe we've done this on our own long enough. The tarot card for the third or the second decan of Cancer, which is where 13 degrees falls, is the Three of Cups. And the Three of Cups is about creation and expression and joy and abundance. Remember, this is conjunct Jupiter as well, right? This is about allowing yourself to feel abundant, to be with loved ones, to reach out for support, work with other people to bring out our expression, to bring out our joy and abundance. And the Sabian symbol, even, which for 14 degrees of Cancer is a very old man facing a dark, vast space to the northeast. It says here, the vast dark space to the northeast symbolizes the spiritual reality that supports all of existence. The message in this symbol is that no individual is ever truly alone, even in the darkest moments of his soul. And I know it's talking about spirituality, but I also want to mention that, yes, of course, spirit is always there to support you. Of course. North Node in Pisces is trying to show us that too. And also, there are a lot of people out there who will probably be able to support you if you can open up your eyes and see and look, right? Maybe you're looking to only certain people for support, and there are other people available that you're not even really allowing yourself to see. And that might be kind of hindering your process in a lot of ways. All right, so let's look a little bit into the human design here. This full moon is happening in gate 39, the gate of provocation, right? But as you'll notice, we have a lot of energy in gate 38. And interestingly enough, these two are programming partners in the gene keys. The shadow of provocation is emotional violence in a lot of ways, provoking others and being provoked and keeping ourselves trapped in that state of victim and abuser and playing that in different ways in different times in our lives with different people. Like sometimes we're the abuser, sometimes we're the victim. When we're trapped in that cycle of emotional violence. But the gift of this gate is dynamism. And the gift becomes when you start living your life authentically, when you have the courage to live authentically, you provoke other people into having the freedom to live their own lives too, to bring more creativity in their lives as well. It's a very, very creative, gene key actually, and gate. And it sits in the root center, which is about a pressure to act, right? So like I said, there might be a desire to act here. And that's not a problem as long as we're pausing long enough to bring back a sense of agency in the decision-making process. How am I making this decision? Now, another thing that's interesting about both of these gates, gate 38, which is the gate of struggle, and this gate 39, is that they both have a direct effect on our breathing. So I'd like you to just notice right now what's happening with your breath. And maybe you'll even just take one deep breath in. And maybe you'll have some snot in your nose as you breathe out, like I did. When we are activated, and sometimes that activation can feel good, right? Like sometimes when I talk about astrology and human design, I get super activated. One breath can be enough to bring us back into agency. Not that there's anything wrong with being activated, just do I want to continue doing that? What am I doing right now? You know, sometimes we just leave the body. And right now, our sky is full of earth and water. We have Chiron in Aries, Pluto in Aquarius, very few yang energy in the air. Very yin, very somatic, very felt. So allow yourself to sink into that with containment. There's something wanting to be built in your life. Can you expand your emotional truth to meet it? Gate 38 is also in the root center. So once again, a lot of pressure to act. Gate 38 is the gate of struggle, but it wants to struggle for something meaningful. And the biggest thing about gate 38 is to make sure that that struggle is not fighting for a fear-based life, but a love-based life. What are you building in your life? Is it moving towards fear? Are you building towards fear, or are you building towards love? Let your daily decisions show you the way. What are you choosing to do every day? When it comes to emotional provocation, when it comes to what you're fighting for, what you're building in the world, how are you doing that day to day? Just noticing, just observing what comes up. And knowing that this push that you're getting from all of this energy here in the root center, this pressure to act, it's trying to reinitiate a certain life force energy in you to build in a new way. It's actually really beautiful. It feels very, very supportive. And this is very relational because we've got the nodes in 3740 right now, where they're going to be there till May 13th. Yeah. And that is asking us to show up in community in a way, allowing ourselves to be supported and to support others. And really looking at our relationship to effort and discipline. Oh, I want to read something from Richard Rudd. This is in my book list that's in the description box down below. He says the 39th shadow has a single goal: to provoke you. The programming partner of the 39th shadow is the 38th shadow of struggle. It is a genetic law that the moment you react violently, emotionally, or physically to an emotional provocation, you are engaging with the energy of struggle and effort. Effort and discipline come up a lot with Capricorn. And this is something that I'm going to be talking a lot about in my Inner Revolution immersion as well, about how we can make discipline, how we can approach discipline with more love. Because a lot of it comes through, like, people are like, oh, like I have to like white knuckle my way through, and it doesn't have to be that way. So how are you redefining your relationship to building, to effort, to discipline? These are all things that are coming. Are you doing it through struggle and effort? Or is there a deeper sense of devotion that's coming through you to build something that's meaningful? And let's get some tarot cards and see what this is about. What is this full moon? Queen of Pentacles. What I love about Queen of Pentacles in this energy is she's very earthy, right? She's Pentacles, but also a little, she takes care of people. It's not, it's like, it's a kind of a beautiful mixture of Pentacles and the feminine, right? So money and work and having a life that, the Queen of Pentacles is good with money. She's good with creating stability, but she also doesn't neglect the emotional world. She doesn't neglect the caretaking. She takes care of other people. She takes care of herself. She's filled with abundance. There's abundance all around her. There is still a nurturing quality. How do you nurture yourself through change? It's a huge thing I'm going to be talking about in the immersion as well. It's really what it's about. How do we nurture ourselves through the process of transition and change? What's an advice card here for us at this beautiful full moon? Three of Pentacles. Like I said, the Three of Cups is rules the Stecken, and now we have the Three of Pentacles, which is about working together, working with others to build something. You don't have to do this alone. That's the advice. And if all you have right now, like sometimes all we have right now are people that we have to pay for support. That's okay. Sometimes all we have for support is universe, God, spirit. That's okay. But also be willing to see where there might be support that you're not asking for it from. We assume that we have to take on everything on our own, and that this person, well, they can't help because they can't do this, but maybe they can. Maybe they can help you in a different way, right? Where can I get support? Where can I give support? Where can I get creative about support? Where can I open my eyes to see what support is already there and that I'm just not utilizing? And just any last messages that want to come through. Nine of Swords. Interesting. I do feel like this full moon is actually really beautiful. I really do. And I don't like to put words like this, like, oh, it's going to heal you or whatever, or it's a blessing or whatever, because to all of us, it's going to affect us in different ways. We're at different stages. And I don't want you to feel like you need to be feeling that type of energy, And at the same time, I want you to think about like how some of this anxiety is because you are not seeking support, some of this restlessness, some of this mental strain, some of this anguish is because you're not seeking support. And I just want to see, yeah, relationships. You're taking too long to make decisions, possibly. Like I know that I said, I always say this, like pausing before make decisions, but then that thing about containment, right? Like if you give yourself forever to make a decision, that might be causing you a lot of anguish. Just be experimental, try something out. And the Lovers is really, yes, it's about relationships, but it's also really about uniting the heart and the mind when making a decision. Is this decision that I'm making out of obligation, or is this a decision I'm making because I really feel like this is the next step? But I just want to invite you to, like, if you're feeling Nine of Swords, if you're feeling like, oh, like burnt out or tired, or you have anxiety, or there's sadness there, that's okay, right? This is Cancer. We got to feel the emotions. And also, what steps are you actively taking to move in a different direction? I'd love to hear down below. And I'd love to see you guys in my Inner Revolution immersion. It is 30% filled already because it was open to previous workshop participants. So join the waitlist if you're interested in that. If you want to read more about it, you'll be the first to know. You'll get 48 hours early access to join. So doors will open January 3rd for you, January 5th for everybody else. And thanks for sitting with me through this. And let's just end with one breath. No snot that time. Beautiful. I'll see you next time.